Today is July 17th, 2018. Stand by for the broadcast. Get ready for the Emerging Sea broadcast system, the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Because somebody's got to do it. Time to call your friends, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a happening and a revolution in thinking. We are now going to interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming segment of the Forbidden History series. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is ever to be construed as medical nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on therealpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week, and we're ramping up. We're still getting our feet wet twice a day, coming soon on therealpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. And thanks to YouTube.com, you have the Forbidden History series. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio, and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History series. The great lies of history, the words that kill, the piracy of words, the original thought transliteration project, the original gospel in the Indo-Germanic mother tongue. Ladies and gentlemen, and a whole lot more. I am your host, Desert Owl. Welcome to the broadcast. I had some nice music picked out, but then I got a black mark for using music that other people are putting up on the internet. I can't figure it out. They put up the entire album, all these different people, for Diva Minton, and then I put up just one song for an opener, and so I don't get it how these people can play music on the YouTube, but then so I'm really confused about all this, and it's okay. Maybe somebody can help me. Prospero, good to have you. Good to be with you, bro. And yeah, I'm trying to get a rhythm here, and it's a lot of effort to put out twice a day, 7 days a week, when I don't have any of my nutritionals. That's my biggest problem, is I'm on a poor diet, let's put it simply. But anyway, back with the program. A lie will race around the world while the truth is slowly putting it on its sneakers. And, the truth is confident, and there is no hurry to put on those shoes, because even if it falls on deaf ears, those who know truth know the truth. And Martha Duncan, good evening to you, and settling in to hear some truth, here, sweetheart. I never expected to have coming out the gate with my broadcast. I have a whole group of new friends that I've met over the last few years, and they're now Barbara, Arnanda, and I never figured out your last name, Barbara. Let me try it right now. Aranda. R is power. That's a power word. That's a good one. And is continuation. It's breath of continuance, so it's a good name. Hey, the one time I played a song that was published by Sony, I got my video removed. Other than that, I've been okay as long as I don't play Sony. Okay, well, I've got a song I wrote. I'm going to try to dig it out. I've got one. It's called In the End. Okay, I think it's appropriate, don't you? In the End. I wrote it about 15 years ago. In the end, in the end. Yeah, we're in the end, all right. So I'll try to find that one. That way nobody can say anything. Okay, and I'm doing good when I can get back and do my song and dance, Barb, because the hardest thing to do is get back in the saddle and try to talk for 3 hours nonstop. I talked myself out on the last program, series number 16 I did on the Forbidden History, if you may have noticed that. So I'm trying to get a rhythm, but my voice wears out, and I'm tired, and yet our world's coming to an end, and we gotta make sense out of it all. And certainly, the spiritual aspect of this. Our dilemma is the most important one, and so to bring the forbidden history with the lost writings and to unravel the deceptions that have occurred through time and through institutions like the beast system, the Vatican, and we've got to do that, and that way we can help people. So that's my objective. That's my heart's desire, is to serve. Okay, and let's see, I've got a call coming in, and I bet you, I know who this is. He's one of our Sky Watchers. He said he was going to call in. And okay, I bet you that's a Tennessee number. It's got to be Jeffrey.
Yes, it is. Is this Desert?
Hey, Jeffrey, yeah, you've got Desert here. We're just opening up the broadcast, and so just stand by for a second, okay? Can you hold on and give me about a couple minutes? We're just opening the program.
Okay. Can you hear me okay? I've got you on speakerphone. Will that work okay?
Let me hear the other just to see what the difference is.
Okay, this is the other.
Now go back to speakerphone.
Okay, this is speakerphone.
Yeah, I think that's going to work better. Friends out there, in comparing my balance with Jeffrey, could you hear him okay? I know I'm coming through loud and clear, but could you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is the best. How did Jeffrey come through? Okay, hey, Sundog, good to have you. And so we got some friends here, Jeffrey, that are all Sky Watchers. Most of my friends, I've been following them on their channels, and then they've jumped over here. So so continue. So just stand by, Jeffrey. We'll bring you on. We'll talk about your channel and what you've been seeing up in the sky. But
Okay.
there's an old axiom that says if you don't know where you're going, then any road will get you there. And that's George Harrison. That's got to be one of his best quotes.
Yep.
Yep. And so speaker was a 9. So okay, so you're a 9, Jeffrey. You're going to be good when I bring you on. Just I'm going through a couple cards here to make sure I don't miss anything. And we've got the deprogramming program, and you're with us, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have you, and welcome to the Forbidden History and the Great Lies of History. The United States of America has waged 10 times more war on planet Earth than Nazi Germany. Okay, literally 10 times. Think about it. War after war after war, and even Roosevelt brought us into a fraudulent war. He allowed 2,000 American soldiers on Navy ships to be slaughtered by the other unseen hand, and the one world order, Japan, when they could have blew up all the fuel tanks and just shut down the American fleet forever. They just blew up a few ships with a few Americans just to get us into the war, so they could kill more Americans and blow up more ships. And it's just the world is a stage, ladies and gentlemen, and nobody gets it. Because we got a Skywatcher standing by, and I also want to pose the question for anybody who may know the answer. Don't call in until we talk to Jeffrey, though, and let me just give you his channel while we're talking here. It's Jeffrey Magaha. Is it Magaha, Jeffrey?
It is Magaha.
Okay, it's MC as in McCartney, MC, and then capital G-A-H-A, Jeffrey Magaha. Okay, so that's his channel. Check it out while we're opening the program here, and then we're going to find out his perspective on what he's been seeing. He got my attention with the first clip I saw from him. Okay, but I want to know about if anybody. I was following Universal Media News in Canada, and so if anybody has information on that, you can't call in right now, but get ready to pass on the information, because this lady, I used to listen to her. I'm sure a lot of you listen to Universal Media News up in Canada. She showed all of the webcams that were looking up there in Alaska and outside of airports or fishing hubs or single settlements up there. And so she was catching some of the most astounding images of the incoming orbs, whatever they were specifically, we don't know, but they were definitely noteworthy. And so she was mentioning they might want to take her down. And so therefore I never spoke to her privately. I don't know her name. But Universal Media News. So if anybody has any information on her situation, then bring it on, because we we have a group of people and we could be proactive and help somebody if they're in trouble. But she insinuated that, they may be able to take her down, but, there'll be somebody else behind her. So I hope she's doing well. And then, okay, so with that, I think we're good to go here. So Jeffrey, we haven't talked before, but I'm grateful you were willing to call into our program. I just started ramping up my Forbidden History series about 3 weeks ago, give or take, and I just had been down for a year. I just finally ramped up a YouTube channel, and then my computer crashed, and it took me a year to regroup when I'm on, don't have any of that funny money. I'm retired now, and so I'm not bringing in the big bucks anymore. So it took a while to get a wonderful friend out in Hawaii to donate a computer, and now we're broadcasting. So I want to bring public awareness to the the Skywatch phenomena, because to me that's the most important issue there is. Although other than our spirituality, and what I do is the forbidden history and try to unravel the web of how we got to where we are today with all the lies and deception. So Jeffrey, tell us about how you got into being a Skywatcher, and then we'll talk more about what you've been seeing.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate you inviting me. This is probably, I guess, the first show I've ever actually talked on in this nature,
Yeah.
Because I just got into, it's been about a year ago that I first started seeing, I first started hearing about things about, actually, I've studied astronomy ever since I was in college, and graduated college in '91. So, like in the late '80s, I got fascinated by astronomy. It is just so fascinating how far and how big and how powerful things are out there in the universe, and just how small we are compared to everything else. And really opened up my mind, and I started studying astronomy. I've got like the stacks and stacks of DVDs of everything that I could find to study astronomy ever since then, and I've really learned a lot about it. And then on top of that, my parents, had me in church 9 months before I was born, and I've been there ever since. And so, I've got a spiritual life.
Yeah.
Where
and so you are a true bona fide Skywatcher. Look, I got to turn off that noisy air conditioner. So real quick, give out your your channel again while I turn off that air conditioner. I'll be right back in 30 seconds.
Okay. My channel it's under Jeffrey, Jeffrey, Magaha, Mcgaha. And I've got several videos on what I'm capturing on a few of my cameras, as well as I've got a Bachelor of Music. I'm a songwriter, and I've got some things published, and I've got some things on like Access Hollywood on the show that does the celebrity news and everything. I've got some stuff on there, and
wow.
So I got a Bachelor of Music, so that's what I actually wanted to do, but I didn't really make enough money doing it.
Okay.
So,
I Jeffrey, I wrote about 50 songs. I was a street singer in Las Vegas, and then I saw all that talent out there, and I realized I wasn't going anywhere. When I saw that talent in the all the casinos, I said, if these people aren't going anywhere, I'm definitely not going anywhere. So I went in a different direction, but that's rather interesting. You're very well rounded. So I'm 62 years old. How old are you?
I'm 48.
48?
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. I was born right at the tail end of the Feast of Trumpets in 1969, and then I was also born on September 24th, which Scott Clark did a video on September the 23rd of last year, 2017, for the Great Revelation 12 sign. On the day of the Great Sign, he came on YouTube and did I think he's taken it down, but there's a couple other people who posted it on their sites where I was still able to go back and watch it again here a few days ago. He posted saying that September 24th is actually a more perfect alignment according to what John actually saw, because the moon was under the foot of Virgo on the 24th and not beside the foot on the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
So I was born on the 24th. So anyway, I was born then. So I feel like I have a connection to all this, and maybe that's why I'm so passionate about it. I don't know.
Right. Well, I have an interesting, my association with numbers. The year I was born, 56, or Even
Yeah.
the place I was born was called 98 Wright Place, and then in
Yeah.
1998 I fell victim to a government sting operation, and I'm laying on a concrete slab, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, okay, this is 1998. I was born at 98 Wright Place, so I guess the Heavenly Father is telling me I'm at the right place. Okay, I'm supposed to be here. Great. And then he was with me the whole way. I've got quite a interesting survival record, but I ended up with the record for the longest case in West Virginia's history, where they tried to railroad me. You know, the what do you want to call them? The secret society club. You know what I mean? And they all got tin badges. So being a truth teller, you know, and a political activist, they really want to come and get you. You know, so it's a little bit of a liability. It don't pay well at all. But the truth is the best pay of all is knowing the truth, but then also knowing that you're serving the great Father above and your fellow man. So that's priceless, you know, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So what did you? Okay, so you really got my attention with what you were picking up out of where you're at in Tennessee. Where are you in Central Tennessee, East, West? Where about what quadrant?
I'm in the eastern part of Tennessee, in like kind of the Knoxville area.
Okay. Yep. Very good. You're near the Bloody 11W. I was up there in some town. I can't remember that now, but yeah, I spent some time with some hillbillies up there in 1975 hitchhiking through. They were real partiers, you know, and it was an interesting time back then in the 1970s. But Bean Station. Do you know where Bean Station is? That's what it was.
Yes, I have purchased a couple of things from it, like a boat from there. I've driven up through there. Never lived there or anything, but went up there.
I got picked up hitchhiking by a school bus. It was loaded with hippies, and it was just a real party to go out in the mountains with them and hang out. Then they actually drove me right to my place in New Jersey. I couldn't get over it. They were headed that way with all these antiques they were taking up there. So,
hey, let me say something real quickly about what you said about the Universal News Media while it's on my mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I did email back and forth with her before she gave me like a shout out on one of her videos. It's like about the second or third video before she went missing. She gave me a shout out, and that's how like a lot of people heard of me, because I'm a nobody. But I remember specifically her saying, you know, what was happening and how somebody had broken into her house or something, and she's like, if I'm not here, you know what happened. So I'm hoping she's okay, and that like maybe she just got her computer stolen or something, you know, something to where she just isn't able to get on YouTube. I hope it's something like that, and not like somebody really got her. But I know her name is Anne, and we were emailing each other back and forth through her Universal News Media outlet. But I mean, she didn't give me a personal one, but it was just the one that I guess she gives everybody. But anyway, we were emailing each other, and she told me her name was Anne. She didn't give me her last name, and she said she was from Ohio.
I see. So, yeah, and so you have her email?
It was I've got. I don't know if she gave that out to everybody or not.
Okay, we'll just try to contact her, Jeffrey, and see if you can.
I've sent her a couple emails over the past couple weeks and have not heard back from her. And I heard WSO Steve today, Steve Olson talking today, and he said that he sent her another email today himself personally too, and he still hasn't heard from her either. So I'm really hoping and praying she's okay.
Yeah, and you say you confirm that she actually had a break-in? She claimed she had a break-in?
Oh yeah, she put that on one of her shows. Like go to about the third or fourth show before she went missing, and she explained on her video that you know what happened. She said she saw a big light or something over to her right, and she started explaining how everything went on, and then how, you know, somebody had come into her house or something like that, and it just kind of rattled her, and so and she was saying that, you know, maybe they went through her things and stuff. So I don't know if she lived alone or if she had a family or what. But
right. Well, I know she had friends from out of town, and I thought that was a good deal that she was around friends. But I guess she may be a loner when they, you know, when they're not there. So we'll keep her in prayer, everybody, and then maybe Jeffrey can get you know, contact with her and give us an update if he learns something, or if she needs any type of support. You know, with a group of people like this gathered together, we could make a request to get her assistance somehow, you know, up in that area or whatever. So we'll keep her in mind. So thanks for that follow up, Jeffrey. So do you so you've been looking at the sky and everything, but then when did you pick up on that something was definitely wrong with our cosmos?
Okay, yeah. Like I said, I studied astronomy forever. I studied the Bible all my life, and so these two started coming together about a year ago. Whenever I started hearing things like Scott Clark talking, and I started hearing people like uh, uh, David Meade, who they give such a hard time in the media and everything. I was listening to these guys at first. And then I started listening to Steve Olson on WSO, and I was listening to him. I was like, well, let me check this out too. I'm kind of, I want to check things out for myself, just like everybody else. I don't believe anything just because somebody says it, but I was like, well, wait a minute. The Bible does say that there is this red dragon system coming. So let me go look at the skies and take some photos and all this stuff. And, at the very beginning, I really didn't see much except for like the chemical trails. But then I started seeing a shadow of a planet going across the sky right outside my house. And I sit there and I told my wife, I said, look, right there's a planet right there. Look at that shadow. It's a perfect circular orb, and it's going right across the sky. And I took pictures of it and everything. She's like, no, that's just a dark cloud, or whatever. And that day, quite a few different times, I caught that dark orb. Yeah. And it was a little bit larger than than what the sun looks like to us going across the sky. And I was like, well, there is something there.
Wow.
And then one day after that, I was standing there looking for that again, and there were two distinct suns in the sky, but kind of barely behind the clouds, where I could still see the two suns very clearly, even though it was a little bit, clouded up and everything. But you can't stare straight at the sun. Obviously, you'll hurt your eyes. But I had sunglasses on, and when the sun would go behind the clouds, I could stare straight at the sun. But there was two things there. And the second thing, whatever that was, it came out from behind the clouds for like 20 seconds.
Yep.
And that was not the sun. I don't know if it was the sun stimulator. It wasn't turned on if it was the sun stimulator, because it was bright, like it was reflecting light off from the sun, but it was not the sun because it was over there next to it. And I just sit there and stared at it. And I was like, my goodness. And I even took my glasses off and stared at it for about a full minute. And I was like, there's no way I could stare at the sun. If this was really the sun I'm looking at right here that came out from behind the clouds, why am I able to look right at it?
So it would make more sense that it could be the dwarf star of our binary twin called Nemesis?
Yeah. Well, Nemesis, from what I'm hearing from like Terrell's Dark Star and everything, and from other people explaining Nemesis, is like it's like some type of either like a black hole or a really dense star that went supernova, and then it condensed down to just like about maybe 10 miles across or something, kind of like a neutron star. They're saying it's something like that. Like it's kind of like similar to a black hole that it just went supernova, and that's what our binary twin is. And from studying all the astronomy, they taught me that we look up at the sky and see all the Milky Way stars that we can see, and actually, you sit there and you think, and we see our sun, all by itself, and we think that most of the stars in our Milky Way are just singular stars, and then you got to go at least 4 or 5 light years to get to the next one. But they say that 80-90% of the stars in our Milky Way have binary twins to them.
Well, that's what I pretty well have heard and concluded also, that that's part of the disinformation or what they leave out of our information, so that we never got the picture. And so so apparently the friction that goes between them, like a dance, a ballet in the cosmos, while they're going around the big clock of the galaxy every 25,000 years, this interaction probably somehow has everything to do with its generating continual flow of energy or something like that, right? Just like everything spins?
Have you heard of Gil Broussard?
Yeah, I used to listen to Gil, but his predictions never occurred, so I stopped listening to him,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, well, he kind of proved that every about 350, 400 years that this thing wraps around the sun and goes back out and comes back. And he proved it with the Bible. And, you know, he was very convincing to me in that.
Well, it
I don't
was.
know about his other predictions.
Yeah, it was like when he talked about when they were coming into the promised land, and then the what was it? The Amalekites were hit by the comets that came through. So those were the type of things that got me looking at that cycle. But now, when you look at the what's really going on in the sky and the devastation, you know, there are other phenomena that can always occur with patterns, like just an asteroid field, and then the rocks fall down. But I don't have the picture. I see what I see with this phenomena we're dealing with right now comes about every 5,000 well, in other words, the time of Noah event, you know, so we're talking about 5,500 years ago. And I think it's more on the cycle of, you know, the flood of Noah, because it's interesting that the Mayan calendar, it was also on a timeline of 5,200 or 300 years, 5,300 years, give or take. And so what they were saying was, it's not the end of the world. It's the return of this nemesis that we're dealing with. So I think it's on a 5,250, 300 year cycle, give or take.
Well, I think that, I mean, as far as it being on a 5,000 or 6,000 year cycle, I think it could be on that type of cycle to where it actually does huge devastation to the earth. But I do believe, from what I have confirmed in the Bible and what I've heard Gil bring up to my attention, was that it does come around, like the star system does actually come around every 300 or 400 years, but we are in a different position every time.
I see,
so maybe it just doesn't mess with it.
Oh, right, and because he found that archaeological find over there in Germany somewhere. They found this little solar image that had all the stars on it, and it was made of gold and right? Yeah, so that was what got me thinking that could be true. So that's true. If it doesn't happen,
take the Bible alone. I mean, because you know, you did mention Noah, but then you go forward to like Joshua, and he had that day where the sun seemed like it stood still for 12 hours.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, what can make it do that except for Planet X? I mean, you know, something that magnetically, gravitationally latches onto the Earth could make it do that. And then plus, there was another prophet who said, you know, make the sun go backwards on the dial, and that happened.
Yeah, 10 degrees. I think it was 10 degrees, right?
Yeah, and then Jesus on the cross for 3 hours. You know, there's secular writings that confirm not only the Bible, but secular writings saying that for 3 hours there was darkness all over all the land.
It was black as night. Black as night. They lit their candles.
Yeah, what do you think did that? You know, that was part of this system, I think, coming around. And there was a great earthquake. You know,
great devastation. It was great devastation all around the Mediterranean, apparently.
Yeah,
and that's why Caesar was so ticked off at Pilate, because they saw all that supernatural phenomena and said, "That's what it was." Oh, you killed this guy. You let him the crowd kill him. Give me a break.
but he was 2,000 years ago, so that wasn't five. So but that wasn't great devastation like what's coming now, where Jesus said. Now, what's got me concerned is, I mean, I'm not concerned because I'm a believer, and I think that those who are true believers are going up in the rapture before all this hits. But what's got me concerned, and I have a heart for people who maybe aren't believers, is what is about to happen, that people have no idea what's really about to happen, because Jesus himself in the Bible said if he did not cut those days short in the tribulation, that no flesh would survive. That's how bad it's about to get with this system coming around. And if you read all the 21 judgments of the seals and the trumpets and the bowls and everything in Revelation, 90% of them is like fire from the sky or earthquakes or something like that, and what do you think's doing that, and it's like, it's so bad what's coming, and I mean, and it's all over the like I made a couple of videos ago about the movie industry and everything, just how they're telling us, like the powers that be that know, they're telling us, you know, hidden in plain sight through the movies, and they're, you know, showing us movie after movie of you know, apocalyptic scenes and stuff, and they're even giving hints. And I've seen 9/23, September 23rd, so many times hidden in so many movies that there must be something. Maybe that big asteroid of the second trumpet, maybe that's what's going to hit on September 23rd of one of these upcoming 7 years. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they sure are telling us, they're warning us. And I mean, just like I went and watched the Infinity War with the Avengers, and you know, the Tony Starks or whatever Iron Man's name is, he was like, this is our end game. He's like, this is it. It's over. And then, so it's everywhere, you know, and like Netflix, you know, released that movie, How It Ends. Well, I just saw the other day, I think 2 days ago, they're releasing another one on the night of the July 27th, the blood moon. They're releasing another one called Extinction. and then that's the same night that Tom Cruise's Fallout, you know, movie comes out. And have you noticed that all the movies are either the last something, like The Last Night in Transformers, Star Wars, The Last Jedi, you know, The Last, or Fall, the Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, good connections, you know? Jeffrey. That's I'm glad to hear you, because I'm not following a lot of that stuff, and so somebody is, and that's good to help us to, because you know it was Confucius who said that signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor law. So if you can't read the signs, you know, you're lost. Yeah. Yeah. And so when I look at how these, you know, the signs that we're seeing in the sky right now, I can't imagine we're getting past 2018, and that very likely, you know, what it could be literally weeks away. I mean, how do you feel about all this?
Well, let me tell you this. I've shared this with very, very few people. I know that you know, the Bible, Jesus said that there's going to be many earthquakes in various places, and you look, you know, like look at all these earthquakes that are going on now, and how, especially on like Carol Blackstar's website, YouTube site, where he is showing just how it, you know, it used to be a couple hundred, you know, earthquakes was kind of high in the 2 to 4 magnitude, you know, for the whole world in 1 week. That used to be high, but we have been breaking the record like up in the 2,600, you know, like here lately, and it's like we're getting so many of those, and you know, whenever I am very still in bed, like if I'm asleep or if I'm going to sleep or if I just woke up from sleep but I'm still laying there, here the past 2 months, about 2 months ago, I've very, very softly felt vibration, like an earthquake. And I got up later, and I went and looked at the computer at I guess it was the USGS site that I looked at. I don't remember what I looked at, but I tried to see one of those sites that shows you where the earthquakes were and what their magnitude was. Well, just, I guess about 40 miles, 30 miles from where I live, there was like a 2.9 earthquake. So I legitimately did feel that, you know?
Yeah.
So every week for the next few weeks, about once a week, I would feel an earthquake. Just a real soft, you know, shaking in the bed for just a, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it went from that to every other day I was feeling it. And then last week I started feeling it about every day. And now for the past 2 or 3 days, I feel it 2 or 3 times a day, you know. And I'm feeling that light shaking, and I'm also feeling like a little bit of a I don't know. I can't hardly even describe it. It's kind of like, like if a wall is waving, like during an earthquake. I feel that, and it just feels like the earth is wobbling.
Right. So what you're describing, in other words, if we see this as a pattern, and you're in the hill country, then it begins to create the picture of how these mountains are being formed over these cycles as they continue to come. Right.
Right.
So obviously there's a lot more to the geology than meets the eye, because it's covered up over a certain period of time, and like whether it's far away or close when it happens, it could be a few 1,000 years, or a couple thousand years before something significant happens. But obviously you're in a mountain zone, so that mountain zone was created by uplift, and therefore that's the perfect area where you'd be feeling it. I don't have anything like that here in Ohio. I'm in very small hills in Amish country in central Ohio, but I'm sensitive. I'm paying attention, but there's nothing going on other than when the new moon occurred a couple nights ago. And this is the thing that's really got me. How does this? Are some people seeing something and others are not? Because there's a lady in Northeast Ohio, Diversity. She goes by Diversity. I can't remember the rest of the name, but she does really, really wonderful photography and zoom ins on the moon and stuff. And so when I saw the new moon, and the Venus was in the cup, it was tilted over to the left, and the cup, the Venus could have been in the cup if it were above, but it was still looked just like the Islamic symbol, other than the star. Venus was further away. I know you know what I'm talking about. And so but when it was going over to the horizon over here, as it was getting lower, it was blood red. Literally, what I was witnessing in this moon, it was getting redder and redder, and it was still way up there. It wasn't like it was on, just almost over. It was still high in the sky to a certain degree, like, and so I watched it the whole way, and it was so ominous to see that crescent moon, blood red. And then, I asked her, because she took pictures of it, and I said, "Did you see it turn red?" She said, "No." And then below me, I asked some people below me, and they didn't see it turn red. So I did. So if we're seeing this system coming in, and the way I was justifying the potential was, if this we're at the fringes of the iron oxide cloud that's around Nibiru, then very possibly some of that cloud was in my area, but not necessarily in other areas, and that's why I saw it red and nobody else did. Does that make sense to you? Have you seen it? Because why do some people like you see the two orbs? Even Sundog, who's on there, just took one of her last videos. She got two suns reflecting in the water, making it clear that what's in the sky was also a double play, and that it was reflecting in the water as two separate orbs. So how come some people get to see it and then others don't, right?
I am not sure the answer to that, but I can tell you that I do see all kinds of stuff here. Driving home today from working out, I saw two orbs in the sky, and I just assumed one was the sun, the real sun, and one was the simulator. But I saw two in the clouds, to where the clouds were thin enough that I could see through the clouds with my sunglasses on, and I could see one orb that I don't know which was which, because they do such a good job at the sun simulator with their technology and everything. I don't know which was which, but there was absolutely two orbs up there shining. And as far as the moon is concerned, you were talking about the moon. I guess it was 2 weeks ago or so, I went outside and I was looking at, I was just looking, because I usually look during the day, and so I don't look much at night, but I was looking at night, and I was looking at the moon, and it was only supposed to be kind of like a half moon or something, but when I was looking at it, there was I could see the real moon, and it was dark, and then they had this huge holographic half moon plastered up there, not directly in front of the dark moon that I could see, but kind of off-centered, and like the bottom tip and the top tip of where the moon ended, where you could physically see with your eyes, was so much wider than the real moon that you could see behind it. And plus, there was this huge like spectrum of light going around just the real moon and kind of behind that holographic image.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I have never seen this before. This is crazy. And I tried to take pictures of it, and all my iPhone camera would do would it would make like a white ball on the picture. So I couldn't get what I was seeing with my naked eyes. But I went and grabbed my 12-year-old son. I said, "You've got to help me with this." And I brought him out there. Said, "Look at that," and I explained everything, kind of what I explained to you. I said, "Do you see that?" And he said, "Yes, I do." I was like, "Okay, thank you."
Right, and now Sundog in DC, she says that she saw it red. I guess last night. Okay, so it was a little bigger. It wasn't the new moon. It was the day after the new moon. But so she saw it red. So when you were looking at it, I know you must have seen it. Was it red for you at any point?
No, not a couple weeks ago. It was never red.
No, it was just, we're talking a couple days ago.
Oh, a couple days ago.
Yeah, the new moon just occurred like about 2 days ago, unless I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, well, what I saw that I was explaining to you was a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah,
and
gotcha.
Then,
yeah.
And then what I saw a couple days ago with the really pink skies, it was the video I posted today that you commented on, was those really pink skies. And the thing about that is, I mean, it was very cloudy, and the sun had already went down for 30 minutes, and those skies were still lit up pink. And I was like, that has got to be some other light source doing that.
Right,
you know?
right. And so that's a correlation then with us seeing the new moon or the second day, the crescent moon, red, but you weren't paying attention then to the new moon or the crescent moon when Venus was aligned with it?
I was not. Now, the only thing I did pay attention to was last night I went outside again, and I didn't look for the moon, but I looked at Mars because it was so bright, and they keep talking about how bright it is on the mainstream media.
Yeah.
So whenever, they're talking about something, something's up. So I went out there to see what they were talking about, and with my physical eyes, I swear it looked like there were multiple dots there where Mars was. So I got my binoculars and looked at it, and sure enough, there were 4 individual, like little tiny planet-looking dots where Mars is supposed to be. And then I tried to take a picture of it, and once again, my iPhone, it won't take good pictures of stuff that's far away. And I even posted that on the video today too. But that I'm 48. I've looked at Mars for many, many years. I'm a fisherman. I fish at night a lot. I used to anyway. So I know what Mars looks like. And I don't know what they're.
Well, is it possible because the entire planet of Mars is engulfed in a dust storm, as I've heard, that may be creating an anomaly like that?
It could be. That's kind of above my head as to whether something supernatural is going on to make it look weird like that.
Well, the question would be, why is it in a full-blown dust storm, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's the case, or they could be cloaking. Maybe Mars is eclipsed.
Well, okay.
Some of this other
Yeah. Well, the point is that, in other words, what Mars is going through right now, in other words, what we're about to witness, if everything goes according to the way we think it's going to be, we're going to witness hell on earth. We're going to witness storms that may be 300 miles an hour. Everything's going to, blow apart according to the potential for what this thing can do. Not to mention, when one planet gets to next to another one, then an electrical charge goes from one planet to another. I was reading the Colbrin the other day, to our friends here that are listening in, and literally it said in there when the electrical charge goes from one planet to the other, if you're looking at it, you're going to be blind. If you're listening to it, you're going to go deaf. It's so loud and big, you can't be near. You got to be underground. Bottom line.
Well, there is the passages in Revelation that when it's talking about the 21 judgments that are coming during the tribulation that are all linked to this system. 2 or 3 different times it mentions great lightning, and so it's not like just normal lightning. It says very great lightning. Yeah,
well, it's been alluded to that's what the scarring on Mars is all about. Those scars on Mars have everything to do with an electrical signature. And now Sundog in DC says, she's adding to it. She says, and now we're having dust storms at the same time coming out of the Sahara, right? We've never seen a cloud of Sahara desert going around the world right now, and that's what's happening apparently.
Right. I saw
Wow.
that too. Yeah.
So we got stuff. We got stuff going on, don't we?
Yeah, these are crazy times that we live in, and I mean, it's just going to keep getting crazier, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I feel for those who aren't connected and they're just having a party because the party's over and it's time to get focused.
Yeah, and that's kind of the maddening thing to me is I can't give you a date. I don't know when the stuff is going to hit the fan, and when it's actually going to, we're going to, because, once again, I have to refer back to the Bible because it's so accurate and truthful. It says this is going to come suddenly. And I understand it coming suddenly because they're cloaking it and they're hiding it so much. Of course it's going to come suddenly because nobody sees it. And it says it's going to come like a thief in the night. It's going to come as a snare upon the whole world. It's going to come suddenly. And how else could a whole system of multiple planets and moons and all this stuff come upon us suddenly unless they were cloaking it? So I mean, they're just fulfilling prophecy is what they're doing. Hiding it.
I think I caught them rehearsing their cloaking techniques back in 2000, right after 9/11, 2001, November 5th. I remember the date specifically because it was the night Bill Cooper was assassinated by the sheriff's department and some feds over there in Arizona. I don't know if you know who Bill Cooper is, but he was the one who basically was telling everybody that there was going to be an event that would happen. Bill was a former Navy intelligence guy, and so the night he's assassinated, it's interesting because they always do a thing around occult rituals. Even when they did me in West Virginia, they did it on their high day on June 24th when they pulled their sting operation on me, and I come to learn as I was studying them to figure out, you have to know your enemy, as Sun Tzu says. So I was studying them, and I found out that when they pulled their sting operation on me, it was on the high day of International Freemasonry when the Grand Lodge was formed. All Freemasonry was put under the umbrella of the Grand Lodge in 1717 on June 24th, St. John the Baptist Day, and that's when they pulled their sting operation on me to get all the kahunas they thought they could get from the universe. It didn't work because they're just occultists and they're just living a lie. And they have no light while they claim the light, it's these Luciferians. But anyway, so the point is that on November 5th, when I was outside, we already had snow on the ground. I was there in West Virginia, got through my my case for the longest case in West Virginia's history, and I was still stuck there. And I went outside to look in the sky because I had heard that there was going to be an aurora borealis. That's what they said on the news. Now we know the news is controlled by the Rothschilds, and therefore anything they say may mean nothing, and it may mean something else is going to happen. And so I went outside looking for the aurora borealis coming down from way up north, and what I saw specifically, it was a mind blower because what I saw was the northern half of the sky was blood red, and that at the edge of the blood red curtain, for lack of a better word, was a white light, as if a beam of light went all the way along the edge of the red curtain across the sky. And then the southern half was black, but the northern half, which was trimmed with the white light, as if it were a beam of light going all the way across the sky, the northern half was blood red. And I said, that's not an aurora borealis. That's just it's just like a sheet of some sort, and so I take note it was on a night when they killed one of the most important researchers in America, exposing this cartel, and blood being, red being the color of blood. But then I had talked to somebody up in Toronto, and they said on that night up there, in Ontario, that literally there were images in the sky of, I think it was like an eagle and something else also. So there was all this occult stuff happening November 5th. Interestingly enough, it was my daughter's birthday. That's why I don't forget it, And so the point is that when you were talking about cloaking device, I think I saw what was able to cover the entire sky in a cloaking device.
Yeah. Well, I can't explain. They have not given me the intel on how they do the cloaking, but I can see it on my cameras on just about every one of my. I have 3 main cameras, and I can catch cloaking things in the sky on all of them. That my cameras are picking up.
Right. Well, see, one of the reasons they were there's like multiple reasons they're doing the aerosol spraying, and so one of them, in other words, they were poisoning our world with the aluminum, barium, and strontium, or whatever else they're putting up there, the red blood cells and everything else you hear about, they put up there, and but the aluminum that is in the chemical spraying, also being that it's suspended in the upper atmosphere, is the prime element that allows them to create a hologram in the sky, and so therefore a cloaking device might require the same type of system, and therefore that's that. And so in other words, they can make a small area cloaked. They don't have to do it across the sky. They can just do one area, and with the aluminum up there, it just creates like you don't see nothing there when something's behind it, right?
Right. And one thing that everybody can see is that that dark sun halo, that big dark circle around the sun. But have you noticed that you only really see that in the sky whenever they have chemtrailed a little bit, and it makes that huge halo show up all the better on their chemtrails.
Yeah. Yeah. So no matter how we look at it, Jeffrey, we're in trouble, and I'm so impressed with your background, and you were at the right place at the right time to get the best shots, and you've been dedicating your life to this, and so you were quick, to be prepared for that. So I hope you'll call in periodically when you got something good to share, because I may not be able to follow your channel on a regular basis, but I'm subscribed to you, so I'll get them coming in. But if you got something, then certainly text me or however, email me, and we'll certainly share it with everybody. Okay. And any final thoughts for our friends out here? We got everybody here is basically a sky watcher, and you probably know half of them, if not all of them.
I do find it fascinating that most of us that are watching, and I spoke in length with this about one person that's listening, that the Sundog, her name's Shannon. I spoke with her at length about the age of those of us who are actually watching and are actually seeing this and actually believe the truth about what's in our skies and what's going on in the world and everything, and then we're not asleep. And it's like so many of us are, around the approaching 50 or a little over 50. Now, it doesn't mean all of us are, but there's so many of us around that age, and there's just something to that. And I kind of link it myself to like the changing of Jubilee cycles.
Yeah.
Because this is supposed to be the last Jubilee. So maybe that's why everybody's coming awake now, is because this is the last Jubilee cycle. We're at it right here. And I hope everybody's ready spiritually is the main thing. Just in case, spiritually is the main thing, because if you're ready spiritually, it doesn't matter, what happens really, because, you're about to go to heaven. And like Jesus said, your salvation draws near. He said, when you see this stuff happening, and he described everything we've been talking about, he said, when you see this start to happen, you look up, because your salvation draws near. And so I hope everybody, is a believer. Everybody has the right to believe what they want, but I hope everybody believes correctly, because what you believe about Jesus determines your eternity, from what I study in God's Word. Yeah. So I hope everybody's a believer, because I want to see everybody in heaven. And you know what? I think the rapture is getting ready to happen right before this tribulation hits. And even if for some reason we are here for a week or a month or a year or two or something during it, just like the Israelites in Egypt during all those plagues, God protected them,
Yeah.
while the rest of the world was underneath the plagues and stuff. So, I mean, he'll protect us if we're, truly believers and followers of him and we're abiding in him. He's going to protect us whether we're here or he takes us out in the rapture, which I think that's what's going to happen. But even if it, like I said, even if it doesn't happen immediately, I think, we'll be protected. And, and worst case scenario, even if we're not protected, which I don't see that happening, but even if we're not protected, if you're a believer, that's going to send you to heaven quicker, so
well, the thing, the true sovereignty is in the Mashiach, in Christ, and therefore it doesn't matter where you are, when anything happens, because he's there to protect us. His will is not that we fall victims to, to events, more so if we're living pure and serving him correctly, then we're used by him for a better, for the bigger cause. The irony and the sadness is with those particular scriptures that I am reminded of, and where it says that many seek to enter in, but few are saved. And so people really need to get focused. The bottom line.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, there's so many scriptures, but the one in Revelation where he's talking to the churches, and he says, listen, if you got ears to hear, listen to what I'm saying to the churches. He said, because you have, believed in me and not denied me, I'm going to keep you from the hour of trial that's going to come on the whole world. And he was talking about this time that's about to hit right now. And plus, it's Jacob's trouble. It's Jacob's trouble. It's Israel's trouble. This is where God's going to deal with Israel here in this 7 years. And the Bible teaches that. I mean, this is not for us, the church. It's for Israel. And the blood moon on the 27th over Israel for the longest blood moon of the century. And remember, they only became a nation again back on Shannon's birthday, May 14th of 47 and 48. But they just became a nation again like 70 years ago. So, this is the longest blood moon since Israel has been a nation again. And blood moons are always a harbinger of bad things to come for Israel in the Bible.
Right.
So everything is converging, and so people just really need to wake up, number one, spiritually, and then if by chance somehow someone does not want to accept Jesus, they have the right to do that, but if they don't accept Jesus, they better get ready physically, because even if you can get ready, because the Bible tells me that about 80-something% of the world's about to die, and that's very sad. Just over the next few years, but you read it. That ain't me talking. That's the Book of Revelation talking.
Right.
And
okay.
And if you just anyway.
Well, give out your YouTube channel one more time. You have a website also, Jeffrey?
No, I don't have a website going right now. I'm just doing everything through YouTube, and it's Jeffrey Magaha, MCGAHA.
Okay. Well, Jeffrey, always feel free to call me on the side anytime. I'm just here generally researching either the scriptures or documentaries on our ancient past. I do the Forbidden History series, so I'm trying to get as much material. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've listened to a couple of your videos there here recently. Yeah, they're very good. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It's I think this time around, from all my other broadcasting, this is obviously the most important time, and I want to go twice a day. I'm trying to work out twice a day, but I'm just I guess I'm the veteran here. Everybody's talking 50 years. I'm 62, and I'm just feeling it, and I'm not eating the best food when you're having to get handouts. So I've got some wonderful nutritional products. I'm hoping to be able to afford real quick if we can get a big following, and people will support the broadcast, and we'll try to do more. But I try to bring on the Skywatcher information in the beginning. And Jeffrey, real quick, you know about the UVB and the UVC, right? You've been following Higher Truth Channel, have you?
Yes, and I think Mr. MBB I can't get all his
Yeah,
letters right.
333. He does the readings. That validates what Higher Truth is talking about.
Yes. I've watched both of them. Yes.
All right, so you know that basically if you go out in the sun, you're in a microwave, right?
Exactly. That's why I don't go out much anymore.
No, you can't. You know, in other words, especially the little ones, because they're the most susceptible. They're just developing, and this will hinder their development, being that it destroys the DNA. It goes right through our bodies. So therefore,
Right.
you know, we now have to realize it's not the same as it used to be, and we just have to only go in the like, you know, when you go to the store, go at night. You know, don't go in the daytime. Just do everything. We have to shift gears here because you know, we're not just to, you know, supposed to just you know, be careless or reckless, because the first symptoms of the you know, of the UVB and C, according to that naturopathic doctor on Higher Truth Channel, and I know he's right on, and he comes from 3 families of generations of physicists, that you know, a heart attack, cataracts, and hernias are the symptoms of the breakdown, and then ultimately it brings on cancer. You know, so so this is not a game. This is for the rest of the time we have here on Earth to be safe and protect our families.
Right.
Yeah. So I hope everybody's paying attention, and Sundoggin is saying I work outside all day. Well, you better wear sunglasses. Better get their vinyl hats they're making available with protecting the back the brain stem. You know, because there's no bone protection on the brain stem. They got hats that shield that part of the area. So we got it. Vinyl apparently is one of the secrets with protection. What?
Hey, I've got one of those hats. They go all the way down to your shoulders.
Way to go. Okay. Yeah, way to go. So you know it's a good deal, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, I used to fish a lot and golf a lot, so I was outside a lot until I started learning about all this of how it's changing, just like what you're talking about right there. And then I haven't been fishing or golfing near hardly any at all, you know, anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, wherever I am outside, I'm properly clothed with the long hat and the sunblock and all that.
Well, apparently, and now because the ozone layer is basically all destroyed, but maybe 80 or 90% of it, then we're getting gamma rays at night. So there is no safe time outside anymore because the gamma rays come through.
Yeah, it's heading that way. I mean, I think this is all a part of where Jesus said, you know, if he didn't cut this short, I don't like to be a doom and gloom person. I love to cut up just as much as the next person, but if everybody could just actually get a hold of the gravity and the heaviness of what he said there. He said that this system coming in during the tribulation is going to be so bad that nobody and no flesh, no animal, no body, no nothing would survive if he did not cut it short. And we're just talking about a 7-year period, you know, of where he's got to cut that short or nobody's going to survive. It's going to get that bad. I mean, with the earth itself heating up and with the volcanoes and the heat and the sun flares it's all in there. It's all in Revelation. And the earthquakes, I mean, there's going to be earthquakes. There's going to be 2 different earthquakes. It's just going to level the mountains and pole shifts. It talks about where it's going to, you know, reposition, you know, the land and the islands and stuff. And I mean, it's just going to be so bad. Yeah. Pretty much, you know.
Well, these are the phenomena that have shaped our world basically over a long process, you know.
Yeah.
So look at, go ahead, Jeffrey, finish your point.
I'm just looking, I've got all my hope spiritually, you know, right now for rescue out of this because I see it coming and it's very concerning. And I have a big heart for those who don't see it, and especially for those who don't see it and they don't even believe in the Bible or Jesus or anything. I really have a heart for them. Yeah. And because they just need to wake up because, I mean, it's about to happen really soon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jeffrey, thank you so much, for coming on with us. And let me just say goodnight to Barb.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate you. I'll be glad to chat with you anytime.
Yeah. We're here to serve. And so, keep us posted on anything dramatic so we can direct people to your wonderful effort that you're putting out there. You're apparently at the right place at the right time. Maybe it's the mountains. You know, you're in a little different, higher altitude or something. So we'll just stay in touch, Jeffrey. Okay, I'll be watching your channel, and feel free to join us anytime, brother.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Peace and love.
Right.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
All right. And so we just heard from Jeffrey, and let me get his last name correct here on his channel. Megaha, Jeffrey, Jeffrey, and last name Mick, MC, and then capital Gaha, Megaha. Okay, so glad to have him stopping by and sharing with us the amazing footage he's been gathering, and he's obviously geared for this. He's got a lifetime background in that area, so way to go. And yeah, I'm just trying, and now somebody tried to call in from Texas, so I couldn't take the call. So if you're still listening in, then feel free to call now from Texas. The line is open, and again, our number is 608-566-7295, and that's 608-566-7295. One more time, 608-566-7295, and Skype is Free America Radio, all one word. That's Free America Radio, all one word. And you can Skype a question on the instant messenger or call in. I'd love to test our Skype system. Nobody's called in on that yet. And if you have a question, remember to put your question in capital letters. The word question in capital letters, or the word request if you have a request, or you know what I'm saying. Then put it. Thank you. Shannon, appreciate that. Well, thanks to Jeffrey, called in, and he's good to go. Some of the people just never call, and that's the problem with everybody. They just don't call in, and I'm trying to get friends to touch base and to talk about this stuff, compare notes. That's I think good, because we don't, some people do their videos and they don't even say much, or they but to compare, the synergy that, the light bulbs go off when we start talking. And so that's what we got to do. We got to talk. And thank you so much, Barb. Good to have you. Okay. So I just want to show everybody, before you go, Barb, hang on. I'm going to show everybody something here on my cam. Let me see if I can figure this out here real quick. Okay. It's going to be, boom. There I am. All right. So everybody, see this? Revealed before its time. The Forbidden History series. Okay? So look at the date. The copyright is over here. Here's the copyright. I don't know if you can see it. 1997. See that? Desert Owl, 1997. So, there's all these people out there doing the Forbidden History, but actually I was the first one on the internet doing the Forbidden History, and I started with my Forbidden History catalog back in 1997. Okay, when this was at the point when MI6 had infiltrated with a couple local flunkies, double agents, and took down my trucking organization, UTDC. You see UTDC right there? That's United Truckers Defending the Constitution. And so in order to save my organization, I created this 28-page catalog and printed 500 copies of it. And by the time I got it back, it was all over. Okay, any group bigger than 3 people has been infiltrated. That was what my retired intelligence officer said, and so I know there's some truth to that, And so the rest is history, the Forbidden History. Okay, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. And somebody's got to do it, and I'm just crazy enough to think I can. And so now I'm going to pull up the next segment of our broadcast here tonight, and it is the AB Seeds of Light. Okay, the AB Seeds of Light, and I've got to put this on my head like that. So actually, I've got my dual mic here. I don't even think I need that. Hang on a minute. I have to pull this off my head. I'm still working out my system. Okay, so y'all remember when I did the AVG. So I'm not going to go back on that. The AVG, right? And so I think this is very apropos for our program tonight, that we're talking about now the letter D, because this is the original alphabet. Okay, the A, the V, Let me do, okay, for anybody that's new, I'm going to have to do a primer here. Hang on. Hang on. Let me go get the other board. All right. I know we have new people coming in all the time, okay? So here we go. AV. The B is a code for number 13, and the V is hiding in the star, what they call the Star of David, that had nothing to do with David, okay? So you can see the V in the old style of the A. There's the V, but then they made it a straight line, but you can see it's a creation of what we see over here. The A and the V are together, and that's creation. That's the light. That's the light. That's the darkness. That's the V is the darkness, the moon. Okay, sun, moon, combined over here. Light and darkness, the duality. That's where it all begins with the star of creation. Okay, so just wanted to show you that again to remind you. Let me get my platform over here. I think I can. I'm trying out my techniques here, so I've got to experiment while I'm going here. Okay, so the next letter up is the letter D, and what you're looking at is the original way the letter D was, because you see what it is. In other words, these symbols are the symbols of light. The AV is the David, right? Combined, it creates the star, and then the G. Why do the Masons wear it on their ring? Because it represents the golden light of the sun. And so the first three letters represent the light. Star creation. Star creation, 3. Sun, earth, and moon. They come together to create light. The light is flowing. And so what do we get with the fourth letter after the symbols of light? Star creation. As we see right here, star creation. Well, we now end up in the fourth letter, because all things happen in 3, right? Everything happens in 3. Orion's belt has 3 stars, and now we get what? After the light comes the sunset, the darkness. That's the original letter D. And so what they didn't want us to get the picture, and so they shifted it. Okay, but it's a sunset. That's what the letter D is. It's a sunset. And then look at the words that we get. Okay? Out of the letter D, we get darkness, death, doom, destruction, distraction, dearth, die, dupe, danger, dumb, disaster, drugs, and diction, which is a negative, because the original word was lection. And they got everybody electing in the election. Okay? So we, out of the word doom, we get the word dome. It's the dome on the Capitol, and it means, and doom, and it means judgment. Where is that word? Hang on here. It means judgment. Okay? There it is, right there. Wrong way. Judgment. The dome on a court is on the courthouse, right? You go to the courthouse, and what do they have? A dome on top of the courthouse. And it means dome is doom, and it means judgment. So at Adam, now we got a battle between the D and the T. Okay? Not too coordinated here. And so we see the Tao, we see it in the Chinese, but in the Aramaic it's the Tao. And so look what we get with the negative, as I just showed all those negative words, right? You see the letter down. Tao with one more letter added to it is down, because it's going down. The sun is setting. The T is what Yeshua was crucified on, the cross. And it's the navigation symbol. It's the way to get back home. It's the first instrument that they used to navigate on the sea when they put a circle in the middle. They put a circle. Okay, I'll draw a picture of it. Let me draw a picture of it. Hang on. It's known as the Celtic cross. You see? The Celtic cross. It's a bad job. Let me try it again. Hang on. Oh, jeez. I just used a real magic marker again. I got to stop doing that. There we go. Okay. I got a better job here. Hang on. And you are tuned into the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. We're just a regular people doing extraordinary things. So there's your Celtic, okay? That's your navigation instrument. And they put a pin right there in the middle. And they hung a string off of that pin, and it went down, and this circle was notched. And it told them where they were on the globe, on the sphere. You can't navigate on a pancake. They navigated on a sphere, and they read the stars. Okay? So the tau represents the sunrise, because that always comes after the darkness. So there's your letter D, ladies and gentlemen. It is darkness. It is death. It is doom. It's a cover for, because what do we have with the atom represents Yeshua. He is the first atom, A-T-O-M. But then with Adam, you see the letter switch out. It's Adam. Adam, and it means judgment. Why? Because Adam was supposed to use sound judgment in the things that he did. And he didn't use very good judgment, and he brought upon us the fall. And the good news is the first Adam, the perfect man, was waiting in the wings to come and save mankind from what the dumb did. The dummy, Adam. He was smart, but it wasn't that he was so dumb. It was just that he was, his appetite was getting the better of him. And he failed to use good judgment. And so Adam means first judgment, okay? So these are some of the metaphors that we find in these symbols. I hope that it sets in you, since it is a sunset, because what we inherited was the darkness, and we had to be born again in order to inherit the light. Okay, so get the picture. And so the tau is also, we see it in the word, more correctly, the complete form is the tavul. The tavul, and what do you put on yourself? You cover yourself with a towel. And that is because it's telling us that at the end, we're to receive the Spirit if we follow and obey the Scriptures. Okay, the tavul is the perfection. It's restored back. That's why it's the last letter of the alphabet, and it's a positive symbol, the cross. That's why Yeshua had to be nailed to it. Okay, but the D is the negative, the opposite. Okay, so it's all mystery, and there's a lot more to it, but we'll just let it go with that, all right? And I just wanted to share another letter with you tonight, and the next one, of course, will be E, and we'll be picking it up from there. So let me put this on the side and see where we're going here tonight, okay? And Yar, welcome to call in, of course, if you want to talk, or I've got some things to share with you. Not a problem. I didn't know we'd be on for a whole hour with Jeffrey, but I really enjoyed having him, and you know, and had no idea he was so dedicated to observing the sky, a true sky watcher, all of his life. So that was really fantastic. And I've got some questions here from a couple friends that aren't with us tonight. If they were here, because I review some of that material, and then I want to you know, not miss anybody's questions. So I've got them standing by. So now we're into symbolism, okay? Symbolism on the Forbidden History series. what they didn't want you to know, but we're going to tell you anyway because you deserve to know, because nobody deserves to be lied to, right? Nobody. And so we're going to tell the truth. So signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor law. Confucius. So the movie Avatar, I think is very appropriate to mention right now, because as even Jeffrey was keen to pick up on these movies, they're telling us something, but nobody gets the picture. They're going to watch the picture, but they don't get the picture. So that's rather tragic. They go there to be entertained, and literally they're telling us how they're going to kill us, and people are just oblivious to these Khazars that created Hollywood. These Khazars who are not Israel but claim to be Israel. What a show that is. When Israel was actually destroyed 700 BC, almost 3,000 years ago, Israel ceased to exist. Now we got a group of people coming out saying they're Israel, and got everybody bow down, worship them, and kissing their feet, and good Israel, love Israel, and they don't get it. They look at them killing these Palestinians. I mean, they make the SS stormtroopers look like Boy Scouts. The way they've taken down the Palestinians, they just in the 1930s or 40s, they move in with machine guns. They kick out all the Arabs. The Arabs live there in peace, with Christians and with people calling themselves Israel. They just didn't hurt nobody, and then all of a sudden they're kicked out and put on a concentration camp and become the victims of the greatest mind control experiment on the planet, basically, and everybody wonders why little boys and girls will strap bombs on their body and blow themselves up in a restaurant. Well, maybe it's because they don't have any hope, Maybe it's because they don't have any hope and they're trying to get somebody's attention. That's all they had left after what Israel did to them. Pseudo Israel, not the real Israel. Pseudo Israel. Okay, and don't forget, if you want to get a copy of the Real Da Vinci Code, Etymological Dictionary, or the Book of Wisdom by Joseph of Arimathea, or the original Gospel sample of the translation project with the latest draft of the dictionary along with it, the original thought on the Indo-Germanic, then any size donation, okay, any size, whatever you're inspired to send. That's go to therealpublicradio.net, the realpublicradio.net, okay, and if you don't have funny money, then let me know. You can't even make a donation, and I will get them to you anyway. Just tell me which one you want, okay, of those four. And also, when I gave out the health protocols on the last program, I should have included bee pollen and also mineral, because these are fundamental elements within our body. And there's a reason the bees go get it, and they're dying right now. So better get it while you got it. But you can go to this website, go to healthwalk.basicreset.com. That's healthwalk, all one word, healthwalk, WALK, healthwalk.basicreset.com. And you can sign up for free and get a free your own health food store. You can share it with friends. You can get paid weekly through PayPal with these people, and you get a big upfront percentage when people buy health products, and that could support our ministry. And if you do join with us, then we'll give out your website, okay, when we do the broadcast. We hope to ultimately bring in several hundred people, maybe even a couple thousand, okay, while we got time left. And we'll sign people up under you to thank you for supporting our broadcast, all right? So now with the symbolism, the movie Avatar, that was the movie that tipped me off onto the original word for profit, because I knew there was something wrong with that word profit. Like, okay, what are we here to make a profit or something? Hallelujah. Put the money in the till, and we'll pass it around twice. Make sure you put in a little extra because you didn't put enough in the first time. So we'll pass that bag around twice. You put the money in there, okay? More you give, more you get. That's what they say, right? Yeah, they were there to make a profit, but there is no profit to be made. And the original word, when I saw the movie Avatar, then I was able to follow it back, because I realized, and I don't remember what tipped me off. Well, I was studying, a lot of that Indo-Germanic, and then going into the Sanskrit, and then I found out that in the Sanskrit, which is pseudo-Sanskrit, not the original, that the word for profit was avatar. And when I saw that, then, oh, wait a minute, okay. And then all of a sudden I realized, because they abbreviate, as you hear me over and over, I tell you that they abbreviate the words. And where did they do it? Outside the Vatican, run by the Jesuit Curii, called the College of Abbreviators. Oh my gosh. They're literally calling it what they're doing. They've been doing it from the beginning. From the beginning, okay? Whenever they finally let their slaves read, they never gave them the full word, because they don't want them to be set free with the word, the shavor. So the word avatar is actually an abbreviation of navigator, but the navigator is the literal sense in our modern, but it was actually navigator. Now, that which came down, that which came down in the way, gator, the G is the symbol of the sun, of light, and tor is power. So that which came down in the light of the sun with great power, and that's what the Watchers were. That's what the Watchers were. They came down with the great light and great power. That's how they built all those ancient monuments. That's how they were able to build anti-gravity Vimanas, which today they're still flying, and it got everybody thinking that they're from outer space when they're inner spacecraft, inner space, and then they're using the movies and NASA Nazi to to put us under the spell and spellbind us with the great illusions that they create, because the greatest weapon in war is deception. That's how they do it, with deception. They deceive us. They prime us with the movies, and now they're having the real show. They primed us with the movies, and now they're having the real show, and got everybody thinks some alien's going to come down and save them somehow. Wonder where they got that idea. We're made in the divine image, in the image of Yahweh. We are the end product in the universe. The universe came into being so that we could be here and have an experience as a spirit, and to discover our true nature and go back home. It was built for us, okay? And people are actually saying they were spliced by Anunnaki in a test tube, and they're half alien and half this and half that, and somehow the Anunnaki are going to come and pick them up now and take them onto the other. It's crazy, absolute crazy. Hey, Rosanna from Michigan, first time I think on our program. Didn't I subscribe to you today? I think I did. So anyway, welcome, Rosanna. Hope you're enjoying the program, and following. You got to go back and hear it from the beginning. Okay, we started 3 weeks ago. Took a week off the last week, but look where it says the premiere. Okay, premiere Forbidden History, and you'll pick up on a lot of the things we talk about, because most of my friends have been hanging out with me for a while, are following right along here. Okay, so Avatar. In Avatar, what there's so many things in that movie. It was profound. It was 3D as well, right? But the thing about the Avatar, once I realized they're prophets, then look at these people, they're bigger than everybody else, right? The Avatar were bigger than life, because the people running the world are bigger than life, right? The people running the world are bigger. Their game is so different than our game, is it not? I mean, we don't even know who they are. We'll never know who they are. They got all these puppets working for them out of the Vatican, out of D.C. Every world leader is a puppet of these avatars, these navigators, these ancient watchers, the Aryan. So because they were blue, they're telling you that they were Aryan, okay? The blue for the sky. And the fact that they had this tail, this long tail that they could connect with nature, right? They plugged it in, and all of a sudden they were connected. It was showing that they had a connection. A tail represents a story. Listen to the word. The tale is a story. We're going to tell a tale. And so they had a connection to the ancient past. They were tied in. And so where did they all live? They all lived in this giant tree, right? This giant tree was like their mother. And so what happened with the bad guys, right? They're coming and they decide they want to get that thing that they called unobtainium. Oh, geez, a thing that you can't get. Unobtainium. And so another version of kryptonite, I think. I don't know. But the unobtainium. And so what is the unobtainium? I think that's the $1 million question, because they say it's mineral. But maybe it's the planet. Oh, it's got to be. It's the planet itself. It's a metaphor for planet Earth. Okay? Because I know what the tree is. I know what the tree is, but I didn't. Right now, when I'm talking to you, I'm making the connection for the first time. The unobtainium represents Earth itself, because the Watchers, what did the Watchers do? They didn't want to serve Yahweh anymore. And they realized that they could take all the stupid people, and round them up and make them slaves. They become the religion. They became the priesthood. They knew how everything in operation of the universe worked. All free energy, mixing of metals, mixing of plants, mixing of species. They knew it all, and they went to work. And they said, we need not work, and so we'll make you slaves work for us. They enslaved mankind. And so they wanted the earth, and that was the thing that was unobtainable, but they figured they could get it anyway if they could destroy Yahweh's legacy. But I think he's about to destroy our world, since they, in their arrogance, destroyed our ozone layer. Looks like it's over for good. But so what about this big tree? This giant tree, okay? That now the bad guys come in and they're going to cut down the big tree, right? Well, the big tree represents our legacy. Don't you have a family tree? Don't you go back in time, right? We all have a family tree. So the symbolism behind their cutting down the big tree means they're cutting us off from our past. Whatever they're doing, and have initiated the destruction of our world and of all people on earth. Maybe they think they're going to live underground for a while. Like to see how that works out. But the fact that they're cutting off the big tree at the trunk, at the root, means that they're cutting, when they're done with their plan. I'm not saying it'll work, because it looks like they destroyed our world forever, at least for the next 20 million years, as Dane Wigington has implied. I thought, in a million years we could get the atmosphere back, but Dane says 20 million. So when they cut off the tree and it fell over, that means they're cutting us off from our past, from our legacy, from our history, and that when they get done with whatever they intended to initiate in their new world, that the people who survive in that next world will have no idea at all what came before them. Does that sound familiar? Like we talk about Atlantis, and well, we think it was this, we think it was that, and but nobody knows for sure. Well, it's happening again, isn't it? And therefore, that's the tree they're cutting down. They cut down the biggest tree of them all. They cut down the ozone layer. And so I think they just shot themselves in the foot while they killed all of mankind on Earth. So anybody have a view on that? You're certainly welcome to call in. And and I can't get over this is our planet, It's like how did we end up here, ladies and gentlemen? It is so sad. It is so sad what they have done. And I'm it's hard. It's even hard for me to want to do my broadcast anymore. I used to roll 7 nights a week nonstop, from 6 p.m. till midnight, and then do replays till 6 a.m. in the morning. I did 12 hours a day broadcasting nonstop for several years, and yeah, all the maps no one can see are under the Vatican, right? Absolutely, Prospero. So. Okay, so let's get on with the words that kill, shall we? That's another fine topic. How did they kill us with the words? Oh, and by the way, I've got an excellent book review with Josephus. All right, I got and it touches on the great lies of history that I like to do, on each program. Okay, so but words are not what you think. We talked about that on the last program. Words are not what you think, and if the words that you use are incorrect, then what you say is not what you mean. And if what you say is not what you mean, then all science, religion, history, law, all will fall apart and go astray. And then all the people will be standing around in helpless idleness. Sounds like the Soviet Union, helpless and idle. And this is not only important, but actually matters above everything else. That's Confucius. Good night, Shannon. Good to have you on this evening. You got you got a profession you got to fulfill tomorrow. So thanks for stopping by and interacting with us. All right, and if there's anything I can do, you got my number because I know you had an idea, and I just left it open. Give me a call if you want me to help you strategize something that you're trying to do. All right. So peace and love, and be well, be safe out there, and don't forget your sunglasses and a good hat. Okay. All right. So listen to the word, ladies and gentlemen. Library. All right. Is it possible that it's a conjunction of two words, and it's about a lie, and it's something that they buried? Is it possible that within the library they buried all the lies in all the books that we get off the shelf, and the lie is buried over there, the lie is buried over here, the lie is buried over there. It's all, the lie is buried everywhere in the library. You think it could be true? I think it could be true. I'm not crazy. They're crazy. They're psychopaths. They hate our guts. The politicians kiss our babies and then they kiss us off, right? That's nothing new. I mean, people keep talking about chains. Well, it sounds like chains, like they want to put us in leg irons and chains. But if not, maybe it's the few pennies you got left in your pocket after they took everything away from you, and that's the change they told you they were going to give you. 5 cents. It could be. Roseanne, you're right on page with us, aren't you? I can see that. So Sandgroper, I don't know where Sandgroper is, but I failed to notice her message on the last program, and when we were talking about gospel, and she saw right in it the word God spell. The spell that the Vatican God, the Papa, the Pope, which is what God is implying, because it's the European, and in the Scandinavian and High German, it's Gut. The gut is the God, and that's in your belly. Your gut is in your belly because that's where they get all their. Okay, very good, Roseanne. Good to have you. So anyway, so God spell. That's another aspect of it I didn't see, but somebody else always gets it. You start putting it on the table, and light bulbs go off, and I love that synergy. Love it. So Sanskrit. Okay, what I call the what's in India is pseudo-Sanskrit. Because the original Sanskrit, hear the word, Sanskrit is sand, as on the beach. Sanskrit, as in writing, because when they landed on the beach, they had to write something for the natives. Uga buga. Yes, I'm writing. You've got the symbol, the picture. Oh, yeah, letter A, letter V, letter O, letter L, and H for the bridge. All of these symbols were universal symbols. So they're on your driver's license now, and they made it into a commercial and war diction, commercial and war diction, when it was originally the sovereign diction that belonged to Adam and Kaiva, Adam and Eve, and they stole it from the common usage and turned it into a commercial Phoenician script, and on the high seas, all in the Admiralty Law District. So well, great, Rosanna, you're something. We'll have to say hi on the side one day or call in. One of these days, somebody's got to call in here. That was so great of Jeffrey to call in, because I really, want, you notice I've covered a lot of ground, ladies and gentlemen, in the discovery process and being a political activist and everything, So always glad to, shift gears and try to answer somebody's question if you're trying to figure something out, because it may be I've done research on it, or I used to interview people that were knowledgeable in that area. So I'm just, with as little time as we got, I don't care what it is, you're trying to figure out. Let's see if we can help you out, okay? Because you may not know how to go find it. The internet is good, but the problem is half the stuff on the internet is not true, it's not correct, it's incomplete, and it's misleading. So how do you know how to sift through the BS versus what's really true? That's the problem. It's not that there's not the information out there, but there's a lot of disinformation and deception, But anyway, so the Sanskrit is that writing that's on your driver's license, what they call Phoenician. And that's the original Sanskrit, and they changed the name. This is the game that's played on us. They changed the name of things and places so that we can't follow the line straight back on the trail, okay? So what Sanskrit literally means, that's what I find interesting. as I finally got the meaning after, I don't remember where I got it. It was either on a documentary, I found it in a book. But it literally means, I should have put my reference there, forgive me. But it literally means refined code. So Sanskrit means refined code, and that's what the alphabet is on your driver's license. That's the original Sanskrit. You got to, and so here it is. Sama, san comes from the word sama, and it means equal. And then crit means cut. And so it means equal cut. Okay, Sanskrit. And so that's what the alphabet represents. You know, each letter, okay, is a different part of the code. And so part of that code that they use to trick us with is like when we see in Revelations where it says, whoa, 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 okay? Or where in like Matthew, let me get my scriptures. Hang on. Okay, in the scriptures, Matthew 23:13, because you know, once you see this word brought to you, you're going to get it. Because what does woe sound like? Woe sounds like whoa, whoa, man. I mean, come on, whoa. You know, we don't get bearing. We don't get bearing with it. It's a con, okay? And I'm going to show you the meaning of woe, and you're never going to forget it. So it's Matthew 23:13. Okay, hang on, 23:13. All right. So what I'm telling you is the word woe is judgment. And they didn't want to give us the word because they hate judgment. They don't want you to be able to think for yourself, be able to make judgments for yourself, or to know that what Yeshua instituted 2,000 years ago was the judgment on mankind. He let them be their own judges, and they brought the condemnation upon themselves. He was offering them eternity, and they said, no, we'd rather kill you and have a party and cut down the tree and have it all for ourselves, have everything for ourselves. So in Matthew 23:13, it says here, and what it says is, but woe unto you scribes, but that's not what he said. He said, but the judgment has come for you, scribes and Pharisee, hypocrites, for you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For you neither go in yourselves, neither you're letting those who are entering in to go in. And then it says, woe unto you, but that's not what it said. He says, the judgment has come for you, scribes and Pharisee, hypocrites, for you devoured the widow's house, and for a pretense make long prayers. Therefore you shall receive the greater damnation. Then in 15 again, woe unto you, scribes, but that's not what he said. He said, the judgment has come for you, right here, right now, scribes and Pharisee, hypocrites, for you you surround the sea and the land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of the grave than yourselves. Okay? So now take it to Revelations. I can continue, but I think you get the picture, right? Just transliterate the word. So in Revelations, when it says, woe, 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 that's not what it said. Like, oh, whoa, 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 no, that's not what it said. He said, judgment, judgment, judgment. That's what it says. Judgment comes upon the earth. Okay? And so, and to show you that the world ended, that the judgment had occurred. Okay? Let me get, well, it's Hebrews 9:26. Hebrews 9:26, okay? And I'm getting my book out here. Hang on. Here we go. Hebrews 9:26. Okay? And leading into from 25. And if these things were not so, then he would have been obligated to suffer many times from the very beginning of the world. But now, at the end of the world, that's 2,000 years ago. Now, at the end of the world, okay? In other words, what was the judgment? The judgment was they determined for themselves that they were not worthy of eternal life. And so rather than to surrender to the higher power and to the truth that was being granted to them, they decided they would rather kill him and have the world for themselves. And so they condemned themselves. They were their own judges. They were their own executioners. You see, the judgment is not like what people think, where we're all going to stand in a line somewhere with a ticket. Oh, I got number 10,400,000, and I'm going to wait in line. We're not waiting in line. The judgment occurred, and Yeshua introduced us to the truth, to the light. And so the judgment is we have to die to this world and be buried with Yeshua so that we can live with him. Okay? So it said literally at the end of the world. Okay? And that was 2,000 years ago. It was the end of an age. Not the physical end of the world, but a metaphysical end of the world, an end of an age. Okay? So you got to get the picture, because everything we're being taught is not necessarily true. It's not necessarily correct, and it's incomplete, and it's misleading, because that's what the priesthood does. That's their job. They want to keep you from transcending from this world. And if you don't know the truth, because what does it say in 1 John 2:27? But the anointing that you have received of him abides in you, and you need not that anyone teach you, because the same anointing teaches you about all things, and is truth and not a part of any lie. And therefore, even as it teaches you, you shall remain in it. So got just a couple more words, and then we're going to go into Josephus, a really profound read. We're going to find out how they lied to us again during the sacrifice of Isaac. Okay, but shepherd, I just want to give you an example of the original thought. And so the word shepherd is really two words. As I said, they abbreviated the words, right? So let's split them apart and find out what they really mean. So shepherd, you can hear the word herd. Herd, like I hear something. Herd, sheep, hearer. Shepherd is sheep hearer. Why? Because the shepherd is having to listen, right? To hear those little sheep. If they get in trouble, they get lost, and they go listening for them. They're hearing, listening for them. So the sheep hearer. And isn't that really cool then, when we realize that Yeshua is our shepherd? And what it means is that he is the sheep hearer, and that he can hear us. He's listening for us as our sheep hearer, shepherd, okay? So it's right in the word, but nobody ever gives us the picture, you know? So, all right. Well, there you go. There's our words. And now we got one more segment we're going to bring you. And got nobody calling in, but that's okay. It's okay. One day you'll call in, and we'll say hi, and we'll get to know each other, okay? But in the meantime, let's go into our book review. I got to turn on my light over here, and I've got to now, I don't know if you have a copy of Josephus. I find it's really amazing, because most people are not pursuing, you know, so many of the books like Philo and the book of Jasher. I've been collecting lost writings all my life, and I'm amazed at what I've discovered. Why they took these things away from us, right? That's the question. Why did they take all these books away from us? They don't want us to read? Wow. Okay. So, getting a little more light here. But and then one day I'm going to read the part with Joseph in Egypt, okay? That's another interesting one as well. But so let's hear it here, okay? Because we're going to find out. See, the picture that we've been given is that Isaac was some victim, you know, because apparently the picture we get is he was just you know, maybe 3 years old or 5 years old, and therefore that bad Abraham, who wasn't a ham, by the way, that's how they corrupted our words, but Abraham, that, you know, he was just going to take his son, helpless victim, and stab him through the heart, you know, and some type of Molochian ritual, okay? But what we have to remember is, unless you haven't heard it before, because it's about knowing, and that they knew from the beginning that at the end of time, as it all talks about, like in the books of Enoch, that one was going to come who would save mankind. All right? So they knew that this was part of the story, that these people had in their legacy in the future the Mashiach, who was coming to save mankind, and that he would be a sacrifice. Okay, and if you remember on the other program, I said that he wasn't the Lamb of God. That's how they switched it out. He is and was the Ram of the great Elohim, or as they say it in the Western version, the corrupt version, the Ram of God. He's the Ram. The Ram represents the power of the Son. Who's at the head of the herd? Isn't there a ram always at the head of the flock? Right? Of course there is. And so Yeshua's the Ram. He surrendered to what they wanted to do to him like a lamb, but he was a ram. He didn't flinch. He didn't bat an eye. And he told all of his friends and that he was going to get murdered and that it was okay, and that after 3 days and 3 nights he'd rise and conquer death and therefore save mankind. And they still couldn't figure it out, even when he told them, what was going to happen. They couldn't wrap their minds around it. And so Abraham knew the story. And so this is what we're going to find out, that what he thought, and Isaiah 53 is taboo. Okay, Prospero, I'll have to read that. I'll take note of that. But anyway, so here it goes. Okay, so concerning, let me see if I got the right chapter here. Concerning Isaac and the legitimate son of Abraham. Now, Abraham greatly loved Isaac. Okay, so I'm in, I guess, chapter 13 in the Antiquities of the Judeans. Not the Jews, but the Judeans. Okay, and so chapter 13, concerning Isaac, Yitzhak, the legitimate son of Abraham. I guess this is where it is right here. All right, here we go. I got the chapter. So now Abraham, and I'm going to call Abraham more correctly, Abraham, okay? Abraham, which means the breath of the many, by the way, okay? Now think about those words. Abraham means the breath of the many. Well, don't we continue to breathe his name today? Yeah, okay, Prospero. We breathe his name today. So that it's proof. Isn't it true that he is the breath of the many? Because we still breathe his title. Abraham. Abraham, the breath of the many. So now Abraham greatly loved Isaac as being his only begotten, which says here, note that both here, the Hebrew 11:17, Isaac is called Abraham's only begotten son. Isn't that an interesting phrase? Only begotten son. Does that sound familiar? Like Yahweh had his only begotten son, Yeshua. And here he's so Yitzhak is being called his only begotten son. Yitzhak is Abraham's only begotten son, though he at the same time had another son. Whoa! But that son was not qualified because he was born of a slave woman. And it was by the works of the flesh and not by the promise. Let me, I got to underline that. Hang in here. Another son, Ishmael. Whoa. It's been so long since I've read this. I feel like I've never read it before, So that's that duality again. This is where I can talk about the duality one more time. This is a perfect example. Remember I said that, how come the false traditions have taken over our truth? And here's another picture. So who was the one going to be sacrificed? Not Ishmael. He was of the slave. No, it was going to be Yitzhak. So get the picture, okay? So let's try again. Now, Abraham greatly loved Yitzhak as being his only engendered, begotten, and given to him at the borders of his old age by the favor of the great Elohim. The child also endeared himself to his parents still more by the exercise of every virtue. Well, if he's exercising virtue, I don't think he can be 5 years old, do you? We'll find out. Because he's not innocent in that sense then anymore. And therefore adhering to his duties to his parents and being zealous in the paying of homage to the great Elohim. Abraham also placed his own happiness in this prospect. that when he should die, he should leave this his son in a safe and secure condition, which accordingly he obtained by the will of the great Elohim. Now again, I use great Elohim in lieu of God because God is a Vatican word, and the great Elohim, more correctly, Elohim is Elohim. Elohim's the corruption, the abbreviated form is Elohim, and in the word Olive, you can see it means all live in the fire of that anointing that lights the lamp. Okay, Elohim. And so it means the anointing of the many. It means the illumination of the many. Okay. So Brahim also placed his own happiness in this prospect that when he should die, he should leave this his son in a safe and secure condition, which accordingly he obtained by the will of the great Elohim, who being desirous to make an experiment of Brahim's pure spirituality and disposition towards himself, appeared to him and then enumerated all of the Baruchim. He enumerated all of the endowment and the enlightenment that he had bestowed upon him. And how he made, now, and you see, but it says blessings here. Notice I changed it to the original, which is Baruchim, and it fits. Listen again, that he enumerated all of the endowment and the enlightenment that he had bestowed upon him. Far more powerful than blessing, okay? Because that's a Latin term from the mystery religion. And so he all these things that he bestowed upon him and how he had made him superior to all of his enemies, and that his son Yitzhak, who was the principal part of his present happiness, was derived from him. And he said that he required this son of his as a sacrifice and a pure oblation. Within the word oblation, we find the word obligation. Accordingly, he commanded him to carry him to the mountain of Moriah, which is right there in Jerusalem, and to build an altar. In fact, I think it may have been the top of the mountain. Actually, what they call the hill of the skull, right there at the top. All right? Yeshua was crucified at the bottom on the road of Calvary, but at the top, above the skull, is where this sacrifice took place. And to build an altar there and to offer him for a burnt offering upon it, for that this would best manifest his religious disposition towards him, if he preferred what was pleasing to the great Elohim before the preservation of his own son. Now, Abraham thought that it was not right to disobey the great Elohim in anything, but that he was obliged to serve him in every circumstance of life, since all creatures that live enjoy their life by his providence and by the kindness he bestows upon them. Accordingly, he concealed this command of the great Elohim and of his own intentions about the slaughter of his son, the sacrifice, more correctly, of his son from his wife, as also from every one of his slaves, his shofans, his servants. Otherwise, he should have been hindered from his obedience to the great Elohim. And so he took Yitzhak, together with two of his servants. One of them was Eleazar, his closest and trustest, and the other one was Ishmael. We find out in the book of Jubilees that these two paramount in his life were going with him on the trek. And then and so he took Isaac together with his two servants, Ishmael and Eleazar, and laying what things were, and there's something symbolic in their names, by the way, and laying what things were required and necessary for a sacrifice upon an ass. Now remember, that ass is pretty symbolic, okay? The ass is symbolic of something under the story line. And as he went along the way to the mountain. Now the 2 servants went along with him for 2 days, but on the 3rd day, interesting number, as soon as he saw the mountain, he left those servants, Eleazar, and remember, Eleazar could have inherited everything that Ibrahim had if he didn't have a son. And then when he has Ishmael, Ishmael could have had everything that Ibrahim owned if he didn't have another son. Because Yitzhak, Isaac, was then the promised seed, and the 3rd in line becoming the 1st in line. Because Eleazar could have inherited everything if Ibrahim didn't have a son. And then Ishmael comes along and could have inherited everything, but then he casts him out of the inheritance. And finally, Yitzhak, the third one in line, becomes 1st in line, but now he's going to be sacrificed. Interesting story. So now the 2 servants went along with him 2 days, but on the 3rd day, as soon as he saw the mountain, he left those 2 servants that were with him. It's interesting that, Josephus is using the word servant and not saying it more specifically as we find it in the book of Jasher. And left them there that were with him till, let me try this again. He left those servants that were with him till then in the plain. He left them in the plain. He didn't take them in the mountain. And having his son alone with him, he came to the mountain. I'm going to take a sip here. I'm getting hoarse. And it was that mountain upon which the royal Malek, David, afterward built the temple. There you go. Okay, so it's not on the mountain of Skull, but it's right there where we find Solomon's temple. That's where the sacrifice occurred. Or did the sacrifice occur? That's what we're going to find out. There's a footnote here. Here is a plain error in the copies, which say that the royal Malek David afterwards built the temple on Mount Moriah, while it was certainly no other than the royal Malek Solomon who built the temple. I think that's a moot point, because they're basically one and the same, being father and son. And indeed, as Procopius cites it from Josephus, because what was it called? Was it not called David's throne? Right? David's throne. Okay. So continuing. Now, they had brought with them everything necessary for a sacrifice, excepting the animal that was to be offered only. Now, Yitzhak, Isaac, was 25 years old. 25, not 5 years old, not 10 years old, not a victim, but somebody who was going to be willing to participate in this action. And this changes the entire picture that we've received all of our life, and nobody opens up Josephus and reads it. But here we go. And as he was building the altar, he asked his father what he was about to offer, since there was no animal there for an oblation. To which he replied that the great Elohim would provide himself an oblation, he being able to make a plentiful provision for blood of the earth out of what they do not have, and to deprive others of what they already have, when they put too much trust therein, in earthly possessions. And that therefore, if the great Elohim pleased to be present and propitious at this sacrifice, he would provide himself an oblation. As soon as the altar was prepared, and Ibrahim had laid on the wood, and all things were entirely ready, he breathed before his son, my true and perfect son. I poured out a vast number of supplications that I might have you for my son. And when you were coming to the world, there was nothing that could contribute to your support, for which I was not greatly solicitous, nor anything wherein I thought myself happier than to see you grown up to a man's estate, and that I might leave you at my death the successor of my dominion. But since it was by the great Elohim's will that I became your father, and it is now his will that I relinquish you, bear this consecration before the great Elohim with a generous and open mind. For I resign you up to the great Elohim, who has thought it fit to require this example and declaration of honor before himself, on account of the favors he has conferred upon me, in being for me a supporter and a defender. Accordingly, you, my son, will now be a sacrifice, not in any common way going out of the world, but sent up to the great Elohim, the Father of all mankind, from beforehand, by your own father, in the nature of a sacrifice. I suppose he thinks you worthy to get clear of this world, neither by disease, neither by war, nor by any other severe way, by which death usually comes upon men, but so that he will receive your soul with supplication and a pure office of a pure religion, and will place you near to him, and you will there be to me, by being next to him, my supporter, one who nurtures me in my old age, on which account I principally thought you brought you up, and you will thereby procure for me by the great Elohim for my comfort instead of yourself, my comforter. Now, Yitzhak was of such a generous disposition, as became the son of such a father, and was pleased with this line of thinking, this discourse, and he breathed. Now remember my original point here, friends, that I said that Abraham was in this mode, convinced that his son was going to be the Mashiach. And actually, that is who Yitzhak, Isaac, represents in the story of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob represents the spirit. Yitzhak represents the man in the flesh, Yeshua. And Abraham represents the father. And so do you see that that in this picture, Isaac is fulfilling his role by becoming the picture of Yeshua, who is going to come 1,000 years in the future. Actually, 1,500 years in the future, okay? Get the picture. This is so beautiful. So now, he said that Yitzhak breathed, that he was pleased with this discourse, and that he was not worthy to be born at the very first, if he should reject this determination of the great Elohim and of his father, and should not resign himself up readily to both their pleasure, since it would have been unjust if he had not obeyed, even if his father alone had so resolved it. So he went immediately on to the altar to be sacrificed. Isn't this beautiful? I mean, we always had the picture. He was a helpless little boy, and yet he was convinced that he was the Mashiach, the one who was going to be used to save mankind. And we were never given this story by all the preachers out there at their pulpit. Never, ever, ever heard anybody recant this story other than myself that I'm bringing you here tonight. And so he immediately went to the altar to be sacrificed. Whoa. And the deed, how come this is not in our received scriptures, right? How come this part is not included in our book? And he immediately went to the altar to be sacrificed. And the deed had been done as if the great Elohim had not opposed it. For he called out loudly to Brahim by his title, and then forbade him to slay his son. And he breathed. It was not out of a desire for an earthly blood sacrifice that he was commanded to slay his son, nor was he willing that he should be taken away from him whom he had made his father, but to try the temper of his mind, to test him, whether he would be obedient to such a command. Since therefore he now was satisfied as to that his alacrity and the surprising readiness he showed in this his own purity of mind and heart, he was delighted in having bestowed such baruchim, not blessings, baruchim, endowment, and the enlightenment upon him, and that he would not be wanting in any sort of concern about him, and in bestowing other seed upon him as well, children, and that his son should live to a very great age, and that he should live a happy life, and bequeath a large principality to his offspring, who should be good and legitimate. And he foretold also that his family should increase into many nations, other nations, and that these patriarchs should leave behind them an everlasting name, and that they should obtain the possession of the land of Canaan and be envied by all other men. And when the great Elohim had said this, he produced for them not a lamb, a ram, which was not apparent before for the sacrifice. So Brahim and Yitzhak were receiving each other unexpectedly back, and having obtained the promise of such great baruchim, endowment and enlightenment, embraced one another again. And when they had sacrificed the ram, who was caught up in his horns, the shofar, the prime element of Yeshua in his title, they returned to Sharai, to Sarah, and lived happily together, but affording them his assistance in all things that they desired. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the story that's not being told. And it's so symbolic from beginning to end, in deep meaning, you know. And I love the story. And actually, Sarah, it says here, continuing, now Sarah died a little while after. No, she died while they were gone, because she had learned that her son was going to be sacrificed, and she dies before they get back to her, if you read the book of Jasher. and what it means in the symbolism. We're talking about symbolism, that the mother dies because the mother is the one who gives us life. That's Elohim. That's the earth, sun and moon, the stars. It's matter. The mother has to die, the flesh, the elements, and they have to go back to the Father, you see. And so this is an important aspect of the story. And that's why then it said that Yitzhak was then comforted by his bride, Rebecca, right? Wasn't Rebecca? Okay. And so then he's comforted of his mother, because he lost his mother in this story. He didn't get to see her again. And so it's a tragic story in that respect, that his mother passes away, as we read in Jasher. But what a story, of Brahim and his own son being willing to go right up on the altar to be sacrificed. These were the most devoted people, the most connected people, next to Noah and Enoch, and of course in the family line, living up to their tradition, unlike the other watchers, the Vekaresh, who fell and decided instead to conquer the world and become the false messengers. The false messengers, what Amalek means, a false messenger. What did it say about Amalek, who represented the Canaanite and the Phoenician, that our battle, and the children of Cain, that our battle would be with Amalek, which means the false messenger. Our battle would be with the false messengers, plural, for all time. For all time. And isn't that what our battle is about, ladies and gentlemen? The false message and the false messengers. And so you got it here first, okay? If you hadn't heard it before, and I have a feeling you probably hadn't, okay? So there you go, okay? The works of Josephus, I highly recommend it. I read it 35 years ago. I knew it was important to get. I didn't read the latter half, about the wars. I wanted the first part, the beginning. That's the part I wanted the most. I didn't care about the warfare that occurred later on during the middle period. But so, friends, there's so much that we have to read. There's so little time left. There's so much we have to pull together within our connection and our walk. And I hope for all of you out there that are listening, that you can get the picture and you can see the things that are not being clearly stated, that are not quite true, not quite correct, incomplete, and in many respects misleading. We need the truth from the tree's root, okay? And so there you go for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. You just got the Forbidden History series. And if any of you want to call after the program, I'm usually at it for another hour or so. Or if you want to call on the side, if you have a comment or a question, or I'd love to have it on the broadcast, on the program, because it's for the benefit of everybody. But I'm always available, and I also have friends who are law researchers and people to help people with mortgages. I've probably got to get Mickey Paletta on once a week, so people can have other help in these other areas. I got some wonderful friends that can talk about the legal stuff. So I'll try to make a point to bring some of that on as well. But as far as where we're going into eternity, that is the most important thing. And as far as what's up in the sky, okay, that's the most important thing to pay focused on. Not the illusions, not the pretend wars, not the politics, not the phony political state, which is an actors guild, a shell game. It's all being run by the Federal Reserve. The banking took over in 1933. Okay, and so Washington is allowed to continue to act. They're all actors. Okay, there's nothing relevant in what they do other than it's the greatest show on earth. Our world is going down, and it's time to prepare for the worst and to stay safe from the sun. Because the UV is killing us. It goes right through your house, okay? Even in your house, you're not safe. It's going. Wear a hat inside your house. I do. I wear a hat because it's coming through. And so we're not in Kansas anymore. We're not in Iowa. We're not in Nebraska. We're in outer space. We're in the twilight zone. And so get ready, because all we have left is our eternal being. Our flesh is through. Crucify the flesh and live by the Spirit, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and so glad you tuned in. Hope you're telling your friends about the broadcast, and just don't forget, I'm Desert Owl telling you that if you want to know the future, then you just need to look for the forbidden history. And I hope to be back on tomorrow night. That's my goal. I'm working up doing a 7-day-a-week broadcast. Just love to have some backup and encouragement, and so let me hear from you. Okay, and I already gave out our offers for the dictionary, and you can always tell us what you're looking for. If you have a question, you want to type it in an email on the side. My contact page is on therealpublicradio.net. Okay, and you can email me a question to do a program on a certain topic. I'll be glad to do that. All right, I'm here to serve. I'd be happy to cover any ground you're trying to figure something out on. Okay, that's what I'm here for. Take advantage of me. Time is short. We got a long way to go. So thanks for tuning in, and be safe out there. Okay. Good night.